Hey guys, Andrew from Culips here. Today we have a really special episode for you. I had the opportunity to interview one of our listeners, Iván from Spain. So Iván reached out to us and sent us an email, and I just really loved his story about how he's studied English with Culips and how he's improved his English from studying with us. So I asked him to come on the show for an interview, and he agreed, and it was fantastic. So this is the chat that you will hear today. It is my conversation with Iván. Don't forget that there is a study guide for this episode. It's available on our website, culips.com, and it's a fantastic way to study with us. So please check that out. And I hope you enjoy this interview with Iván. Here we go. Iván, welcome to Culips.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so Iván, you are in Spain right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And what
I'm
city
here
do you live
in Valencia.
Valencia.
It's just in the east of Spain.
East of Spain. And I'm
Exactly.
sure it's quite hot there right now. I've been hearing on the news about a heat wave in Europe.
Yeah, you can bet. It's totally, it's crazy. It's
crazy.
getting crazy. Yeah, it's getting crazy here. And there are, the humidity is totally crazy, and so that the feeling it's a little bit hard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I bet. Well, Iván, the reason why I'm talking to you right now is actually because you sent me a message, and I was really shocked because you sent me a voice message, and this was really cool because I felt like we had a connection instantly. You sent me this voice message and told me about how you had learned English and how you had studied with Culips, and I was really impressed with your English. I thought it was a really high quality English that you have. You're very fluent and a great speaker, and you wanted to come onto Culips to share some of your tips with the Culips community, and I thought that was a great idea. So here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Yeah, that was the point. In that moment, I thought it could have been a good idea, and why not? So let's do it. Sure.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so maybe let's start at the beginning. When did you first start learning English?
So I was, I think, 36 years.
Okay.
So I've always wanted to learn English, but for me it was kind of tough. Mm-hmm. And then when I decided to start, it was I was a grown up, and I thought, hey, why not? I can do it. I was told that it was gonna be tough. It was gonna be complicated. That to grasp a good level and a good pronunciation level and fluency, it's quite tough. But I thought, yeah, okay, maybe this is true, but I'm going to try it anyways.
Awesome.
So I did it. Yeah. And in that case, I was 36, and I learned English in more or less 2 years.
Wow.
And everything was by myself because I didn't go to any academy or with teachers. No, nothing at all. But other method, because I thought exactly that. If people told me that it was going to be tough, maybe I should use another way. And
right.
that's what I did. Exactly.
Wow. So in only 2 years, you achieved this
Yeah.
level of fluency. That's amazing.
Yeah, the last year, it was 3 years ago, but I learned English in 2 years, and then the last year, I've been trying to boost it, to try to get it better. That's
Awesome.
it.
And so what was your motivation for learning English? Did you want to just use it for traveling or for business, or what was your motivation to start?
Yeah, I thought that English is, and actually I'm just now enjoying a lot, things like this, I'm now speaking with a native speaker, and
Right.
for me it's awesome, and
sure.
I thought that if you know English, you can open your mind a lot. And it was going to be interesting for me also in regard to my job and you name it. But my actual motivation was that I wanted to speak with other people, with other cultural bias and stuff, you know. And that's the reason I made it.
Okay.
Totally.
Very good. Okay, so let's get into your method a little bit here.
Okay,
so
first
how
of all,
did you study by yourself? I'm very curious.
Okay. First of all, I have to say that I'm not a teacher, so
right.
I'm gonna try to do my best. Okay, but I have not that skills. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no
so
worries.
the first thing it's pretty obvious because it's that you have to listen a lot. And in my case, what I thought is, okay, I'm going to turn every single device into English. It doesn't matter, TV, radio, in the car, the GPS and stuff, you know, everything in English. And at the beginning, it's quite tough.
Yeah, was your
you
car
imagine.
GPS reading you the Spanish street names with an English accent?
Yeah, but that's awesome because you can, yeah, sure, totally.
Yeah.
Because you can see the difference in regard to pronunciation because
right.
you know the Spanish pronunciation in my case, I mean.
Right.
But then I can, I was listening, yeah, man, if this girl says in this other way, so it's perfect because I can understand, study, drill down on the pronunciation matter.
Right.
So this is really interesting, huh? Then the phone, the computer, everything into English.
Okay.
This is important. And then at the beginning it's super complicated because if I like a lot watching TV shows and movies and stuff. And of course, at the beginning, you know, it's quite tough to understand.
Yeah.
So,
you just don't...
yeah, exactly. So in my case, okay, I thought, yeah, I gotta keep going. It doesn't matter. I was using a resource that for me is super interesting. I don't know, maybe for other people, but for me it was super interesting. It's a website that is called No, let me spell it again.
Sure.
ORORO.tv. Okay.
ORORO.tv.
Exactly. And this website, it's you can register and it's for free, but you have all the stuff there. Netflix and SVO, it's legal one. This is important also. It's a legal one. You can also pay and have the premium account, but the free account it's super interesting, and you can watch their movies, TV shows, and you can slow down the dialect a little. So this is super interesting.
You can adjust the speed.
Exactly.
Wow.
Because at the beginning that's super interesting, even because you have to read at a time the captions. So you need time, and this is a super interesting resource to learn. I think in this case, if you enjoy movies and stuff, so it's perfect.
So you were watching the English content with English subtitles.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because in that case, only listening is, I mean, in the TV, because I was listening Culips, I was listening a lot of stuff, but
sure.
But in regard to enjoy at a time, because that's very important, you have to enjoy at a time. Because if you are, you know, in here studying, this is pretty bored.
I completely agree. If you aren't enjoying it, then you're just going to want to quit and you're going to lose motivation, right? So you want to have content that you're studying with that you find enjoyable and that, it's fun. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing.
Yeah, it's not gonna be good. Okay, so in that situation, I was enjoying a lot the TV shows and movies, so this is a good resource. The other resource for me, I was listening many podcasts, but especially when I found Culips, for me it was super interesting. I remember even the moment when you came in.
When I joined the team.
Yeah, exactly. And it was super interesting because of the way you speak, especially. I mean, as a student, I think it's important to try to impersonate someone, to try to mimic the way, you know, as like native speaker speaks. It's important to try to mimic that because we have our own bias because of our own languages, and then we try to do all the same, but that's not possible. If you wanna speak properly, you gotta try to copy the music of the language. You gotta try to copy the speed of the language also, and you speak in a slow motion, super clear. And very often when I'm speaking and then I say, oh man, I'm just getting out of the way, so I gotta turn, I gotta come back, and I think in the way you speak.
Okay.
So for me, it was a really, really interesting, something really, really powerful. Okay.
Ah, that's cool.
Yep. So Culips is another very interesting resource to learn English. And I think all my partners, I mean the community, Culips community, sure, they agree with me.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, I
hope
so.
That's a great point, Iván, about this idea of choosing one native speaker in particular and really trying to mimic and pay attention to the way that person speaks. And I think that's a great technique for improving your accent. Just to find somebody that you like. It should be a speaking style that you enjoy or that you think is cool, right?
Yes,
and then,
totally.
And then doing some, shadowing or copying the way that speaker speaks. I think that's a really effective way to study. That's a great point.
I think so. And in my case, actually, it was super interesting that you are a Canadian guy. Because I was at the beginning, as a student, you want to learn, and you don't know if I should learn British accent, North American accent, or so. Canadian is perfect because it's just in the middle.
Yeah. That's what I tell my students. I think
exactly. So
I don't want to brag too much, but I think it's a good accent for English language learners to get a bit of both worlds in there.
Exactly. And then it's a lot much easier because you get relaxed. Because, okay, I gotta not look for this or this. No, okay, Canadian is perfect.
Right, so, right in the middle.
In my case, it was very, very interesting.
Cool.
And I think the other point that I could say, the other tip, is reading. This is obvious also. But reading, it's, in my case, I think of two different type of reading.
Okay.
First of all, it's because you want to enjoy. So this is perfect. You read. I love reading, so I want to read a lot, and novels or whatever stuff. It doesn't matter. But reading is a great tool, and but this is for enjoying. But there's another important way to, in my opinion, okay, is you gotta read to practice speaking. And let me explain this a little bit deeper. Okay?
Yeah, that could be a little confusing at first. Reading to practice speaking. How does this work?
Yeah. Let me explain it.
Sure.
You can read out loud, first of all, so you can hear you. And then you can practice, when written in this other type, pronunciation and linking words. Because this is, from my point of view, it's way important to link the words properly. Because and you have to learn how to do that, and you have to figure out the tricks that you can use, and try to drill down into the way of linking words. Because if you speak linking words and with fluency, so then you will understand better.
Sure.
So in my case, I thought, okay, this other type of reading, I can read out loud, so I can speak by myself. And in Spain, for instance, it's quite tough to stumble with other native speaker, and then you can have a conversation. It's tough. You can do it, but it's once in a while. Okay.
Right. It's not an everyday thing.
Exactly. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna speak out loud every day by written, and practicing pronunciation and linking. And if you want, I'm gonna tell you also, guys, a few tips that I find super interesting in regard to pronunciation and linking words.
Sure.
Okay.
We'd love to hear them. Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. Pronunciation, from my perspective, pronunciation, it's there are few key sounds that you have to master.
Okay.
First of all is the R.
Yes.
The R later. It's super tough. Okay.
It's very different than the Spanish R, right?
Yes, totally. Because
Yeah.
the Spanish R is quite close to the Scottish R.
Ah, okay.
Like they say breakfast,
Right.
for instance. Yeah, it's super weird.
Yeah.
So Spanish R is like that. So for us, it's simple to do. To go towards the Spanish R, and
Right.
we have to change that totally. So we have to learn to master this sound, like a bird, for instance.
Right.
Beer,
Yeah.
sister. So we have to practice words individually and try to mimic that sound and master that sound. And then like this one, it's important because your English will sound much better. And this word is super important. Then the other letter that I think it's important also is the L sound.
L.
Pencil. So it's quite similar the way you build the sound, but in that case, touching the roof of the mouth. So it's O instead of
Right.
But the sounds are quite similar. So
yeah, very connected sounds actually. Very similar.
Exactly, I think so. So in that case, this is the other important sound that we have to master. The other sound that is super important also is the T, but not T. But in my case, I think it's not exactly the T. T, it's simple, so you can say two, it's simple. But especially when linking words, that you do the T flat.
Yeah,
like
the flap there.
Exactly, that it's a kind of this sound.
Yes.
City,
it almost sounds
like
more like a D instead of a T. It's like a very soft T. Yeah.
Exactly, like a soft T. But it's curious. It's pretty curious also because from your perspective as a teacher, I found many times that that you say that not only you, I mean in general, native speakers say that it sounds like a D. But from my perspective as a student, D and T very often are quite similar also, especially when you speak in a fluent way.
Right.
With fluency in a casual conversation. So you can say, I don't know, or you can say, I like the city. And it's city and I don't sound
the same.
Quite similar. Exactly.
Right.
So I would, in my case, I would focus on that idea. So keeping that sound for both of them, especially when linking words. So if you have vowel, T or D, and another vowel, so then you can use that to link words using the T flat.
Right.
So that one is the other letter, and then the last letter that I would notice here is the I vowel.
I. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Why? Because it's not the same that you say I like it, that if you say I like it. So you should turn a little bit that E sound into A sound. Okay, A sound, that A. I like it. I like it. Instead of exactly, because from my perspective as a Spaniard, it's quite simple to say it. So sounds that are super strong, and we have to fuzzy the sounds. Okay, in English you fuzzy a lot the sounds.
Right.
So in that case, I would use this A sound instead of E sound. For instance, this table. I like this table instead of this table, because then it's important also to make a difference between plural and singular. So this instead of these. So you can use that to make noticeable that difference.
Right. Okay.
So those are the letters that I would in this case notice. And then in regard to linking, I think it's super important also to use the T and D, as I mentioned before, using these letters T and D to connect words, because they are gonna appear all the time
at the end of words, especially past tense verbs, right? Almost every regular verb that's in the past tense is going to end with one of those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then it's super simple to use that trick, the sound, this sound, to join the words and then keep going. And the other, in this case, I think it's a good idea also to mention that when you find an N and then a T, both of them together, like for instance, the internet, you could say the internet, or you can say the internet. So you drop the T.
Almost always I drop the T in my pronunciation. I always say internet. I never say internet. It's
exactly.
too difficult. Internet.
Yeah.
Much easier.
much simple. I do agree, totally. But there's an important key here, because when you say, for instance, the typical one, that is, I want to, everyone knows that is, I wanna, very often. You say very often, I wanna. But if you dig a little bit, you will see that it's N and T, so it's I wanna instead of two, so it's I wanna. So you are dropping the T in there, but you can use also, for instance, I'm listening to you. So very often you say, I'm listening to you. So it's the same trick. Or I'm trying to go there, I'm trying to study. So it's, I'm trying to. So that kind of way of linking the words by using this trick, NT, dropping the T, is super useful also to make your English a little bit more fluent. There are many more, but I thought these ones are pretty interesting for the community to pay attention on them.
Yeah, well, I have a couple of thoughts about what you just said, and the first is that just a minute ago you used the word noticing. And I think noticing is so important. And how do you notice these types of elements of connected speech? It's by doing a lot of listening, right? So you mentioned that you did a ton of listening, and through doing that listening, you can notice and you start to find patterns, right? Oh, native speakers do this here and there and there and there. Aha. You can sort of have that breakthrough moment and then apply that to your own speech. So I think that's a really key point, is the noticing.
Yeah, actually, it's when I find that, it's an aha moment for me.
Yeah,
I love it. Totally. I have a very analytic mind because I'm Asperger. I have this kind of syndrome. So for me, I'm just all the time studying and analyzing things. So for me, it's super interesting. But the point is that if you want to notice that, you gotta pay attention on the sound and then try to write down the rule. So you have to make up rules. It doesn't matter if they are real. Very often I find that my tricks are I make them up. Okay,
right? They have to make sense to you.
Exactly, because maybe as they are not properly built as a phonetic, from a phonetic point of view, for instance. I have no idea about phonetics.
Right.
So I have to figure out that. I have to figure out, okay, I'm going to try to to use my mouth differently. I'm going to try to use the back of the throat, because I think it's important to pull down one or two tones. When I speak Spanish, cuando yo hablo español, hablo así. Es un poquito diferente. So it's a little bit different when I speak Spanish. But when I speak English, I lower a little the tone. So I have to use the throat differently, the mouth differently, the tone differently. Even I get my muscles a little bit tired.
Right.
Know?
Yeah.
So
a little fatigued.
Exactly. So it's super interesting when you find a pattern. So they try to figure out the pattern, write down the pattern, to have a rule to follow. And I don't know, it goes pretty good. It works, I think.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And the second thing that I wanted to say is you're absolutely right about connected speech being a more advanced indicator of your English proficiency, right? Because the way that native speakers speak, we speak in just this big stream of speech, right? There's no breaks between words. Like, It's not like looking at a novel where you can see a little gap in between
Totally.
each word. Speech is just a flow. It's just coming out, and there's no real break in between words. They're all linked together. And so
Exactly.
picking up on this and linking your words is a really great way to improve your accent, I think. So for you to pick up on this and develop your own set of guidelines and your own rules, it's really cool to hear about, actually. And I think it's really effective. I mean, it shows your English is very good. So you're doing something right, I think.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying. This is totally clear. And I think, and I make a lot of mistakes, this is normal. I think it's normal. I would encourage people to speak. It doesn't matter if they make mistakes, because it's normal. But it's super, super interesting when you can have a conversation with a native speaker, and then you can be understood. And, the reward is awesome. So I would encourage all of them to try it, as hell.
Yeah. Well, Iván, thank you so much for sharing some of your tips here with the Culips community. I think our listeners will be really encouraged to hear a success story like this, because, sometimes it can get a little frustrating just studying day in, day out and not feeling like you're making any progress. But I think you're proof that if you stick with it and if you keep your motivation high by studying with materials that you like and that you enjoy, and if you're just patient with yourself, you can get there.
Yeah, my pleasure, Andrew. It has been a pleasure. And this is, I think this is possible. So let's do it. That's the point. There's an important saying in English that you say, fake it until you make it. So this is what I'm trying to do, Yeah. I'm trying to fake English until I make it.
Fake it until you make it. Yeah. Awesome.
Exactly.
Well, thanks so much, Iván. Have a great day.
Thanks to you, Andrew. Thanks to you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So I hope you enjoyed listening to that interview as much as I did. I really enjoyed speaking with Iván, and thanks again, Iván, for coming on the show. That was fantastic. Again, our website is culips.com. You can listen to all of our past episodes on our website, so definitely check that out. We're also all over the place on social media: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, we're there. Just search for the Culips English Podcast and you can find us. And if you're a fan of Culips and you enjoy studying with us, please follow us and leave us a nice review or rating wherever you listen to your podcast, wherever you consume Culips, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, YouTube, wherever you listen to us. Please do us a favor by following us on these platforms. Okay, I think that's it for me for now. We'll be back soon with another episode, and I'll talk to you then. Bye.